Welcome to Satsang. Yes, Tosh.
The first question today is, do you have any practical tips and techniques that people can use in their daily lives towards awakening?
The only thing that's valuable here is heart. Nothing else is valuable here. And if you haven't got heart, you're broke. And so the most valuable tip I can give is a technique so people can perceive love. And that technique is the practice of openness. In the practice of openness, you'll find after you start doing it for a while, you have to also practice acceptance and let go. Now, if you practice acceptance and let go enough, you'll start to learn surrender. Surrender is not something you can do, but it's something that happens through practice. So for me, the most valuable thing that is here is love. And openness allows you to perceive it. If you are defended, if you are closed, if you're in resistance, you won't be perceiving much love. You may perceive primal bonding, but that's not love. Unconditional love is always here, and it's very beautiful. And it can be perceived at any time that you are wide open. And if we look at what that means, it means you're vulnerable. You're not defended. The wind can blow through you. You're not yang, you're yin. And this is the right space for the ultimate accident of enlightenment to occur. But it's up to you. Nobody can do the work for you but you. And people think, well, shouldn't have to do any work. Well, give up on the idea of enlightenment. Because none of you were programmed for freedom. None of you were programmed for love. And none of you are programmed for happiness. We're all programmed to be efficient little machines through our schooling. Competitive by nature. Unfortunately, this is also against heart. And so it's an undoing process that's required, where you get to undo you. You get to take away all the obstacles that are in the way of openness, which happen to be the same obstacles that are in the way of enlightenment. But only you can do it. Nobody can do it for you. There is no magic wand that someone can wave over you and set you free. The closest to that is the Buddha field of Satsang. And that is only going to help you if you're ready. It will slowly open you up more and more and more, but if you're not willing, it won't work. There needs to be a willingness to let go, a willingness to accept life as it is, a willingness to feel whatever presents itself in you with a warm welcoming. And without that willingness, your own ego, the will of it, can overpower any possibility of enlightenment. It's up to you. One thing that you'll notice about everybody that is awake, if you're fortunate enough to meet someone, is that they are all wide open. And they would have been like that before enlightenment, otherwise enlightenment would not have occurred. Openness is the key. And closure is the tell that shows you what's in the way. When you find yourself closed, when you find yourself in resistance, it's the tell. It shows you somewhere inside of yourself where you have not shown up with awareness and love yet. And it's up to you to show up there and undo whatever's in the way.
What does the undoing process look like?
Hell. Everyone has default patterns that were produced through repetition over time. And undoing these default patterns that might be in the way is going to be arduous because they're hardwired. And underneath a lot of these default patterns is quite often trauma and pain bodies. And so there needs to be a willingness to heal the wounds of the heart. And if that willingness is not there, well, there isn't much chance. And so when I say goodbye to people who have attended Satsang, I say goodbye, brave hearts, because it takes courage to play this game of higher consciousness. It takes the courage to meet whatever is inside of you without resistance. And that's up to you. Nobody can do it for you. There is no magic. It's up to you.
A lot of people attend Satsangs with you and with other teachers. But it doesn't look like a lot of people wake up.
No.
Why do you think that is?
The problem with enlightenment is it's not something you can do. It's not something someone can do and get. It's an accident that occurs, and I have to use the word grace because it's through grace that a person awakens or doesn't awaken. The best you can do is raise your consciousness levels to a level where you're no longer resisting life. You're no longer in a combative mood. You're in a mood of acceptance. And as a result, your mind is equanimous. You're not shaking your fist at God anymore and saying, hey, you got it wrong. You're accepting life as it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if this is the case, you have prepared the ground for enlightenment. But there is absolutely no guarantee of enlightenment. That is by grace. And it is ultimately always an accident. Thank you. Are there any questions? Any statements? Anyone got anything they would like to chat about? Hello.
Hello. Yeah, when I register sadness or like a very kind of obvious emotion, I tend to feel it then. But a lot of the time there just seems to be a persistent dullness. Yeah. I just wonder if this was something you experienced.
Oh, not really. There doesn't seem to be another question.
I'm losing my mind a bit.
Ah. Okay.
I just I wonder how
You're gone. Hello. You're gone too. Okay. Hello.
Do you experience physical attraction?
Physical attraction to of a sexual nature.
Or just in a, that you might perceive someone to be attractive or not attractive
Attractive in what way?
physically?
That would be a sexual attraction, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, not necessarily, it could be just that person looks beautiful, handsome, but you don't necessarily want to.
I find myself extremely attracted to people who seek truth, and definitely not in a sexual way. If people are interested in truth, I seem to be attracted to them. If people aren't interested in truth, there doesn't seem to be any attraction whatsoever. Anything else? Okay. Hello.
So you have an attraction to seekers, but you do speak to a lot of people that just they're strangers on the street. Is there something you register in there?
In 1984, my spiritual master, Osho Rajneesh, germinated something inside of me that created the seeker. And it's as a result of that germination that eventually I found heart and I found truth as self. And that was simply by being in his presence, not by anything he said or did, simply by being in his presence, the Buddha field. And so everybody I see that I can say hello to, I give them the opportunity to find the same. I give them the opportunity to be germinated. I say hello to them. That's all it takes, because there is a transmission of energy in the hello. And I give as many people as I possibly can that opportunity. This is my love affair with humanity.
As you told me, everything it just melts.
Yes. Hello.
Is my attachment to people, like, obviously, I'm attached to the form, is that in the way?
What form?
Well, you, whatever that is.
Yeah, this form will die. If you have the fortune or the karma to be in the presence of a Buddha, you should use it to help raise your own consciousness levels to a level where you find love, heart, and where you find beingness. If you just come along because you want to get high on the energy of the Buddha field, you'll miss the opportunity. And so many come along just to get high on the energy field. Or they come along to collect knowledge which doesn't raise consciousness levels one bit. In the Buddha field, you can start to see your own mind more clearly. You can start to witness it more clearly, and you can watch it as it starts to dissolve in the energy field. And then you learn not to put it back together again. The Buddha field is a doorway into your own true nature. And if used correctly, it will lead you to higher consciousness, heart, and the possibility of enlightenment. Hang out with someone who's awake and they will push you towards freedom. If they're not pushing you towards freedom, they are not doing their job. The pushing sometimes looks a little painful because it usually involves taking things away rather than adding things on. The mind needs to learn acceptance and let go, because that's how it eventually maintains unconditional surrender. So anybody who's awake, who's your teacher, is trying to teach you how to let go, how to accept life as it is. So many people struggle with this because they don't really want to learn let go or acceptance. They want to be right. And they miss the boat big time, because the lessons, the devices are always about acceptance and let go. Okay? Susha, hello.
Hi, Bhagwan.
Hello.
Hello. Bhagwan, as a seeker, when you failed in getting to higher consciousness, what was your attitude?
When you failed, did you say?
Yes.
My attitude was very simple, just try again. But that's been my attitude to everything in life, whether it was sport or business or relationship or higher consciousness. It was just try again. Anything else?
Yes, Bhagwan. I ask that when my consciousness drops, the first thing I find when I emerge out of, I can see things better, is that there is a non-self-acceptance. There's no acceptance of things. There is a judgment going on. It's such a deep default pattern. That's the first thing I have started to see more clearly now. That's why I asked the question.
All right, that's a statement.
It is.
Is there anything else?
No, Bhagwan, that's all.
Okay, Carl.
Thank you.
Eddie, hello.
Hello, Vishrant.
Hello.
I have a question. I have written it down. What
Okay.
enabled you to see the consequences of your actions and words?
Witnessing the mind. I started witnessing the mind when I was very young, probably around the age of 14. When you witness the mind, you get to see all its agendas, all its defense systems, all its plotting, all its plans, all its deceptiveness, all its dishonesty. You get to see everything. And because you can see it clearly, you see the big picture. Because you're not caught in the dream that the mind is showing you, you have detachment from it. In witnessing the mind, you develop detachment from the mind. And so you don't get caught in small picture. You're always seeing the big picture. This is the only way that I know how to continually see the big picture, is to be detached from the mind. So you're not caught in the small dramas that it creates. And if you're detached from the mind, you don't get caught in the small dramas. You see everything that's happening around you all the time. You see the consequences of everything.
What exactly do you mean by big picture and small picture?
Well, a small picture, we use a battlefield analogy. A small picture is the private and the corporal and the sergeant fighting a skirmish in the front line somewhere. The big picture is seeing all the skirmishes, all the flanks, all the sky, all the water, everything at once, not lost in some small skirmish on the front line. Seeing the consequences of everything that is happening. Now, if the general who's in charge can't do that, the general in charge shouldn't be a general. Anything else, Hadi?
Yes. Did you ever think that the reaction of a person to your words or actions was crazy strong?
Heck yeah. Absolutely. I've had a lot of strong reactions to my words. That's why I know when to step back. You've got to be very careful when you start telling people the truth. Sometimes they want to assault you.
It happened to me that a few times I was trying to see the consequences, and the reaction to my words was crazy strong, and I couldn't take responsibility for what other person did. So did that ever happen to you?
I can't remember a time in my life when I haven't been telling people the truth. And so I've been in trouble forever. The truth is not popular. What's popular is convenient lies that match people's bullshit belief systems.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Sushi, you still have your hand up, darling. Mahan,
Hello, Vishrant.
hello.
There's some questions from online viewers.
Yeah.
Chetan asks, you mentioned that one should drop hope, but my motivation for doing sadhana is based on the hope that I will be free someday. So how can I drop this hope and be motivated at the same time?
I understand the question, but I also understand what hope was. If you study hope, you'll find that it has two sides. One is the wish that things turn out the way you want to turn out. The other is the fear that they won't. It's like a coin. It has two sides. And so when you serve hope, you also serve fear. Neither are good things to serve because they're in the way of freedom, because they're projections to the future, neither of which being real. It's a dream. And so it is best never to serve hope, and it is best never to serve fear, because they are simply not real. They are just dreams. It's up to you what you serve or what you don't serve. Just be wary that if you serve hope, you are also serving fear. Okay?
And Chetan also asks, Is it possible to watch the mind and be present to reality at the same time? Is this something to aim for?
If you can be present to reality and watch the mind all the time, you are enlightened. But there's no you anymore. There may be awareness of the mind, but the identification with the mind has gone. It has dropped. Awareness aware of itself continuously is enlightenment. Whether awareness is out here or just completely inside is irrelevant. But the I is no longer here. It is gone.
And Chetan also asks, is compassion something that can be practiced by itself, or does it come naturally as a result of practicing openness?
Well, people practice compassion, but it's from the mind. It's a mind trick. True compassion comes when the mind is perceiving love. When the mind is perceiving unconditional love, it just wants to take care of everyone and everything. It's not a forced issue or a practiced issue. It just is what is. Someone who's in charge of their heart, in that they're perceiving it because they've removed the closures and the resistances to life, will be able to surrender to everything, surrender to death, surrender to all fears. The trick is really openness. There is no other trick. But human beings are naturally closed, naturally defended, because this is survival. Someone who's awake has defeated the survival mechanism. The ego is part of that, and it has dropped, and so has all fear, because fear is the main ingredient for survival. It's the main defense system for survival, and that drops. Then there's freedom, because fear is the bars of the prison that people find themselves in, the mind. No fear, life is pretty good. No I, life is pretty good. Anything else?
Yes. Jithan asks, why should one choose meditations apart from doing hobbies? And can I get some goals by doing meditations?
What was the question?
I think he's asking why should one choose meditations over hobbies? And can they achieve goals by doing meditations?
Depends if you want to get free or not. Meditation simply means being present to reality. As long as you're not present to reality, well, there's not much chance of higher consciousness, finding heart, or enlightenment. The big problem is dreaming. And we were all programmed to live in our heads when we went to school. And thinking is living and having awareness on thoughts and living in that dream is the problem. And so meditation is simply being aware of what is real and sacrificing that is not the dream. And so it's like reclaiming reality from a dream that you've been lost in. Someone who's awake is present at the moment. If they're not present every moment, there's something seriously wrong. They are present to reality every moment. It's one of the reasons that it's difficult to wake up, because people don't want to be present every moment. They want to live in dreamland. Well, keep dreaming. But if you're interested in freedom, you've got to give up the dream. You've got to find reality, and meditation affords that.
And James asks, Osho says red rays entering the body are dangerous, so he chose ochre shades of red. So can we not wear pure red color?
You can wear whatever you like. I don't mind. Anything else?
Ryan asks, being an addict in recovery, I feel it will be harder to attain enlightenment. Is that true?
No, it is not true. As an addict in recovery, you're already learning how to let things go big time, because getting out of addiction is a very difficult thing for a human being to do. They have to learn to let go. They have to learn to accept life as it is, rather than addictively demand what they want. It is a pathway to higher consciousness if it is treated correctly.
And Pragnesh asks, I just don't know anything. There's no happiness. Sometimes I'm happy accidentally, and then again misery comes. I'm confused. What to do?
What was the question?
Pragnesh doesn't know anything and has no happiness and is very confused and wants to know what to do.
Move into service of other human beings and become a lover of humans. Find your own heart and find freedom. There's something for you to do. Anything else?
Dennis asks, Hi Vishrant, I just finished your book. I was wondering if there's a way to see all my belief systems quickly so I can take them apart. If I have to wait for them to surface, it can take many years.
Yeah, Dennis, get into a relationship with someone who doesn't like you. They will teach you everything you need to know. They'll show you where you're caught everywhere, because they will be your greatest help. Make sure that you fall in love with this person, so what they think and what they do counts to you. It will help in your ability to learn surrender. This is the free way. Anything else?
Narasimha asks, what is liberation? How is it realized? I can obviously not do it.
Say that again.
What is
Say
liberation?
again, Maha.
Yeah, what is liberation? How is it realized? I can obviously not do it.
No, it can't be done. Liberation is not living as an I anymore, and the knowing that you are truth, because awareness is constantly aware of itself. Liberation is enlightenment. There is no other liberation. There is no other freedom. It is possible for all human beings, but it is difficult because it's not something you can actually do. It's something you can prepare the mind for. That's about it. But if you've prepared the mind for liberation, for enlightenment, you are going to be relatively happy because you're no longer resisting life. It's the resistance to life that makes us unhappy. Nothing else. Anything
Hi,
else?
yes. Hi there asks, why is it that the mind is always cluttered with thoughts?
Habit. When you were a little boy or a little girl of the age of about 2 or 3, there was very few thoughts, if any. And then you went to school and you learned how to live in your head. And now you're stuck there. Meditation is the only way out, the practice of putting your awareness on something that is real instead of constantly entertaining the dream that is not real. Up to you. No one can do it for you.
And James asks, is negative energy transferred from one unconscious person to another?
Yes.
And Pragnesh asks, I heard that if you can be conscious in your sleep, there can be no death for you. You're enlightened. Can you please throw some light on that? How can we do that?
Do you believe in unicorns? There's an awful lot of rubbish around enlightenment, ideas of how to get there, ideas of what it is. There is something that is aware of your mind. It is behind the mind in a way. And when it becomes aware of itself continually, 24 hours a day, that is enlightenment. Because if that happens, the I drops. The sense of being a somebody drops. The sense of doing things drops because the I has dropped. That is freedom. Freedom from the prison of the mind. Anything else?
Marunal asks, Namaste Bhagwan. Can you please share your insight on forming a tantric relationship with a partner after realizing true nature?
If there's still an interest in sexuality, we are talking sexuality, I take it, after enlightenment. The practice of Tantra is very, very beautiful because it means basically being still with the other from the male's perspective while you're in penetration with the other. Being absolutely silent, absolutely still. And in that stillness, there can be union of energies, union into beingness. And so it is a pathway to enlightenment, but it would have to be one of the most difficult pathways because usually both partners are not enlightened. They are still ego-based and they get caught in lust and they get caught in future orientation and performance. It is a very difficult path, but after enlightenment, it is possible, but it is a very different way of being involved in sexuality because there is very little movement and there is not an interest in orgasm. In that non-movement, in that non-seeking of orgasm, the other can find themselves as truth. That is a possibility. If both parties are not awake, it is extremely difficult. Probably the hardest possible way towards enlightenment there could be, because people are so identified with their sexuality. Anything else?
And James asks, is benchmark for enlightenment 48 minutes breath watching?
Look, in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I think the answer is 42. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Hello. I feel like I want to have a shot at the guys that teach Tantra as a way to enlightenment. It's a great way for someone who's running groups to make a great deal of money and call it spirituality rather than sexual gratification. I haven't heard of anyone yet who has woken up that way. But apparently there's been a lot of money made that way. I had one teacher of mine whose name I won't mention, lovely, lovely, lovely person, who used to run Tantra groups in Holland. And I asked him one day, why do you run Tantra groups? He ran many other groups as well, but he ran Tantra groups. Why do you run Tantra groups? And he said, it is so simple. I like to make money and the Germans like to fuck. Anything else?
That's all. Oh, actually, sorry, there's a new question. Sunda asks, Master, to find you online, it is my achievement. How can I deeply connect with you more and more?
Connect with me on Facebook. Become my friend on Facebook. And attend public satsangs and say hello in person. People who want to get closer to me do that. It's the doorway. Unless they're living in this state where I live in West Australia, it's difficult for people online, but it is possible through Facebook and through coming online and talking to me. I have many disciples, sannyasins throughout the world who have met me this way. It's up to you. I'm here. You have to come to me. Okay?
And there's one more. Kaylee asks, why is breath considered real?
Because it is. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Nuts and bolts of spirituality here. Rajesh, hello.
Hi, Bhagwan.
Hello.
Sometimes I would talk to someone that's quite negative, and I've been wondering whether I should stop them or just let them talk it out. Is there any value in them talking about it?
Okay. So before I trained as a psychotherapist and counsellor, I used to just divert people's attention away from their negativity towards something else, because I could do that. Because negativity doesn't get people anywhere. It just takes everyone down the chute. As I became more skillful in communication with people, I would entertain their story in order to take it off them. Because negative stories don't help anyone. They just make you feel bad. And I don't teach positivity because that's just another mind trip. But avoiding negativity is brilliant. Indulging in it just makes you energetically quite grubby. Anything else, Rajesh?
When you say diverting attention, just starting a new topic or anything else?
Yeah, look, is that Superman? Ah, no, it's a bird. No, it's a plane. You know, anything.
Okay. Thank you.
You've got to get a little creative. There's no point entertaining negativity. Okay.
I sometimes thought that, yeah, just talking about it, that it's like a release in a way.
Yeah, they're feeling bad, so they're expressing negativity, and after a while you'll catch their energy and you'll feel bad as well. Brilliant. A problem shared is always a problem doubled.
Doubled in the sense that they won't lose their negativity. I'll just get it and they'll still have it.
Well, quite often when people are talking negatively, they're also transmitting an energy form that is dense, tamasic and rajasic. Lower consciousness energy, in other words.
Yeah.
And so if you indulge in that sort of energy, you will go into lower consciousness, unless, of course, you have detachment from it all and you don't take the story seriously. So when I trained as a counsellor, I wasn't there to take people's stories seriously. I was there to take it off them, to set them free of it. All the negative stories do is hurt the person who's telling it. And they can hurt you too, because the energy that's transmitted when they're telling it can affect you negatively also. Negative thinking gets negative results. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Vishrant, you mentioned how helpful path of selfless services to a seeker.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is it helpful?
Because it helps get rid of you. And you are the problem. If you ever want to find out what's in the way of higher consciousness for you, find a mirror and you'll see it. When we move into selfless service, a service of humanity, a service of the planet, service of animals, we're putting ourselves aside. We're putting the problem aside. It's brilliant. All those who serve heart serve something else besides themselves. Selfless service means no self. It's not a selfish path. It's beautiful. The way of the heart is not a selfish path. It's beautiful. It's a path of taking care of something besides yourself. This is the beauty way. This is the best way to live here as a human. Okay. Prem Rishi. Oh, hello.
Hello, Vish.
Hello.
Thank you. When I'm when I'm in the Buddha field, does putting my awareness on the heart chakra can open it up?
Okay. When you're in the Buddha field, put your awareness on your crown chakra.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the best place to put your awareness. And then if you can keep it there, that's not a bad idea. Because your crown chakra is like your connection with God. Okay?
Okay. But I can feel my crown chakra and probably my third eye, even without Buddha field, the Buddha field. But I cannot feel my heart chakra. And yesterday you told me that I have to find my heart. So maybe there is a link.
Okay. To find your heart, you have to practice openness. Putting your awareness on your heart chakra when you're in the Buddha field isn't going to do it for you. Openness is achieved through practice of being open when you're in the marketplace, when things aren't going your way, when people aren't agreeing with you, when people might be annoying you. This is the time to practice openness. Yeah?
So maybe I don't have enough problem.
Enough what?
Enough problems to let go.
Poor thing. I'll tell you something else about putting your awareness on your crown chakra. The headphones you're wearing could be in the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they could be stopping you from perceiving the crown chakra clearly. I wouldn't wear them if I was you. I'd be listening through speakers.
Okay. But I had a hard time to communicate with you without the the microphone and the headset. But,
Well, you do what you need to do. I'm just telling you what I know.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. See, the speakers shouldn't be attached to your ears. Okay. Nice to talk to you, Rishi. Beautiful name, by the way. Hello, Abai.
Hi, Bhagwan.
Hello.
Bhagwan, about the negative thoughts or negative topics, there are movies which show, some negative situations and then show how to come out of it. Would you say they can be useful in any way?
Yes, they can be. One of my awake teachers suggested that I go and watch horror movies and war movies, because she said every time that you contract, there's an opportunity to open. Every time you go into resistance to what you're seeing, there's an opportunity to open. And it's true. Anything that contracts us is actually in the way. Openness has to be here all the time, not part of the time. Unfortunately, it didn't work very well for me, because I've been very present to reality most of my life, and suspending reality and going into the dream of the movie is just not my way of being in the world. And so it didn't work very well for me. But she did suggest that I could see the point, that people go into movies, they lose themselves inside the movie, they get some emotional roller coaster happening where they contract and then release and then contract and then release, and they think it's been a good movie because of the roller coaster ride. It does give you the opportunity to practice acceptance, let go and surrender if you want, but it's up to you. I don't necessarily recommend that, but it was recommended to me by one of my teachers. I think life alone is, if you're in life and you've got a family, you've got parents, you've got brothers and sisters, you've got children, you've got a partner, you've got enough there to contract you till the cows come home. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Abhay. Abhaya, hello.
Hello, Vishrant.
Your mind is expanding, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happened to me when I sat in front of Osho Rajneesh. My mind expanded, and I was trying to ask him questions at the time because I was a journalist, and I couldn't. I'd say a word and then I wouldn't know what the previous word was, and I didn't know what the next word was. I had to read it, and it was just one word at a time because my mind was so gone. So I do understand.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishrant.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay, hello.
Hi, Vishrant.
Hello.
So I wanted to ask, when you're meditating, you're supposed to maintain a witness, right? That witnesses the mind and reality. Are you also supposed to be aware of that whole process, that a witness is doing it, or are you just supposed to do it?
What happens, Jay, is that in the beginning you don't have a witness to the mind usually. It's a role that has to be developed. And you practice that role by watching the mind itself rather than getting caught in the story of it. And after a while, you've developed this witness and it takes no effort. In the beginning, it takes effort to develop the witness. The same as in the beginning as a meditator, it takes effort to get present all the time because you keep dropping back into dream. But after a while, it becomes a default pattern to be absolutely present all the time. And so I don't try to be present to reality. I am present to reality. No effort required, because that's my default pattern that was developed through the practice of meditation. Whatever we practice becomes our default patterns. We all practiced living in our heads when we went to school. So we're all very good at that. But there's a problem in that. And that is that we all got taught to be problem solvers. Problem solving is another form of hell. Getting out of the mind and getting back to no mind, just being here present to reality, is very beautiful. But it takes practice. The same as it took a lot of practice for you to learn to live in your head. Now it takes a lot of practice to get out of living in your head. It's up to you. If my practice was there all the time, so if I was walking, I was aware of my footfalls, I was aware of my breath, I was aware of the sunshine, I was aware of the wind, I was aware of the sounds around me, I was aware of the people around me. Now, when you're aware of that many things, you can't think. If you start to think, you'll lose awareness of those things. And so I called that walking in Zen, and I did that for years. I just loved walking in Zen, which is a meditation practice. But it's a practice you can practice anytime you're out walking. Anything else, Jay?
Oh yeah. Sometimes when I meditate, I am able to get to a state where thoughts don't come in. So
Yep.
where do I put my awareness after that point?
Well, you're only practicing meditation, so that is the goal of meditation, to find no mind. And when no thoughts are coming in, you've actually found the goal. You're actually in no mind. Now, if you were riding a motorbike at 200 kilometers an hour, you'd be in no mind as well, because if you started thinking, you would die, because you needed to be with the bike and the road. And so no mind can be achieved by riding a motorcycle at 200 kilometers an hour, but it can also be achieved through the practice of meditation, which ended up being my preference. So 200 kilometers an hour on a motorbike is fun. Anything else?
Yeah. Sometimes I also feel energies in my head, or sometimes my body, and sometimes feels like my mind is stretching out in some direction. What's going on?
Well, your mind's stretching out in some direction.
Yeah, okay.
Don't get concerned about it. Don't try to understand it. Just watch it. Just watch it. Just be the witness of it. Just watch it without judgment. Don't get involved in it. Just watch it. Just be the witness.
I was just curious, that's all.
Yeah, even understanding is the booby prize. It's not the answer, you know? As a beginner, you don't know. And the best way to be a spiritual seeker is to always be a beginner. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And then the universe can show you everything. The moment you think you know, you've closed yourself off to the universe showing you everything. And so people who collect knowledge tend to end up thinking they know. And they develop spiritual egos around thinking they know and being able to talk about it to others. And the dirtiest ego you can possibly develop is a spiritual ego. So it's best to be a beginner. I don't know is the best answer. Okay?
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jay. It is time, I'm afraid, Jayesh. I've run out of time. Thank you for Satsang. Good to see you brave hearts here tonight. You too, Sam. Sorry, mate. And Janard, and there's more, but I have run out of time. Bye-bye, everyone online.